Tensions continue to mount over Russia's campaign of airstrikes in Syria, with British Prime Minister David Cameron saying that Moscow has made a terrible mistake for itself and for the world by backing the butcher Syrian President Bashar Assad. For a further view on the Kremlin's motives and their consequences, we look today on the Press Review at an editorial in Britain's Guardian newspaper. It begins with the words, "Russia's military intervention in Syria further complicates the tangled web of conflicting purposes and rival applications of extreme violence which have brought that country so low in the last 4 years." The Guardian is unequivocal in its view of what Russian airstrikes will achieve. The paper says, while unlikely to seriously weaken ISIS, Russian air support, which it is now clear they will direct at a range of rebel groups, will strengthen the Assad regime, at least in the short run. And that, absent other developments, will prolong the war and increase the suffering of civilians. The suffering of ordinary Syrians is, above all, to be avoided. If there is any silver lining here, it is that options for humanitarian intervention may have increased. The paper writes, the Russian move also brings an opportunity which the United States and its allies should seize to shift the focus of international concern about Syria away from the military extinction of ISIS towards the protection of civilians. But let us go beyond that to propose safe havens, no-fly zones, and local ceasefires, which will get an increasing number of ordinary people out of the line of fire. Let Moscow or Tehran explain why that would not be a good idea. Unfortunately, most analysts agree that humanitarian intervention is not at the top of Russia's to-do list. Neither is fighting the terrorist threat from Islamic State, in spite of the Kremlin's rhetoric to the contrary. The Guardian elaborates, Mr. Putin's motives in Syria are multiple. He wants to distract attention from the still unfinished adventure in Ukraine. He seeks a measure of international rehabilitation. But if there is one thing we know about Mr. Putin, it is that he does not think things through. Russia may well have bitten off more than it can chew. Within a relatively short period of time, Moscow could be looking for an exit strategy. Whatever Moscow's true intentions, its actions in Syria have and no doubt will continue to provoke a great deal of debate and tension with Western governments. The Guardian has laid down a clear position. The international community should challenge Russia and Iran on the question of protecting civilians, a critical issue on which Moscow and Tehran must be tested. That's all we have time for today. Join us again tomorrow for another press review. In Kiev, this is Ukraine Today.